Just be yourself. We've heard this many times in our lives. Told by others and we said it ourselves too. But what does it actually mean? On the surface, it sounds very vague and maybe a bit patronizing, but under the surface, it is the most pinpoint advice you could receive. Those who speak it usually don't comprehend it themselves and only repeat what they heard someone else said. This is called social learning. But let's get into it, shall we? I am not going to be talking directly about men going their own way, nor will be this directed at women. This concerns mostly men of all ages, beliefs and values. Whether you are a red-pilled guy, blue-pilled guy, it does not matter. Even black-pilled person can benefit from this. Back to the initial question, what does it mean to be yourself? What is the first thing that comes to your mind? I bet it is something in line with "this is BS, this never got me anywhere," or "it means nothing." As I have said, the truth of the matter is that this is the best advice ever given from one person to another. Why being oneself is such a hard concept for people to grasp? Why do we see our true selves as something unreal, broken, not working, unsuitable for the world to see? Where did all this shame and self-deprecation came from? The answer lies where most answers do, in our childhood. Since the early age, when we socialize with others, we want to fit in. It is natural for human beings to cooperate and to mold into singular unit. Anyone who stands out is considered an outcast and other kids won't play with him or her. An individual can be easily picked out from the herd by a predator. So standing out is naturally a dangerous trait. This is not actually unique to humans. In-group preference is observable among most mammals. This is where racism comes to play, for example. A perfectly natural behavior that is being beaten to death in our modern society. But that is not where I am going with this, maybe another time. As children, we observe others and we adapt to fit in. We want to be part of the group. So we will mimic and adjust our behavior. An actual microculture is being developed and we want to be part of it. We self-social program ourselves. This behavior serves us well throughout our life for many reasons, from security and safety through food and shelter to friendships, partnerships and beyond. But somewhere along the way, we have lost our essence, our uniqueness. Some communist thinkers and progressives will want to convince you we're all the same and there are no differences between one individual and another. This is, of course, a complete garbage and demented ideology whose purpose is simply to pull down the successful individuals, of whom there are few, by the laws of nature, onto the level of the less successful or plain lazy people. If we're not all winners, then nobody is type of mentality. Nature does not work like that. The real world does not work like that. But because the society consists of many losers and very few winners, the society itself is inclined to this behavior as a whole. The rule of the majority, so to speak. Because of this, we, as individuals, have lost our ability to be ourselves, to express ourselves in ways that suit us, to express our own unique opinions, either verbally, artistically or otherwise. We became the part of the mass, the drop in the ocean, the sheep in the herd. And so when we are being told to be ourselves, we're simply incapable of understanding what that even means. We have locked our uniqueness, our true personality, into a golden cage of comfort, conformity and responsibility avoidance. We have taken the comfort of decisions being made for us over the discomfort of freedom of our individuality. We have traded our souls for comfort, and that is one of the reasons why the society today is what it is. But that is a topic for another video. I hope you begun to at least fathom what I am talking about here. If not, I have failed to communicate my point straight enough to you and I am sorry for that. So finally, what is this be yourself mantra that people keep on repeating? For each individual, the answer will be different, because we're all different. But the basic truth and the first step to overcome for you is to first and foremost stop caring what other people think of you and most importantly, what their expectations of you are. When we surrender ourselves into the hands of others, we can never express ourselves truthfully and freely. We are submitting ourselves, control of our mind and behavior, into the hands of others. A caged tiger will never hunt for his own food. A boat in a dry dock will never sail around the world. An animal born in a laboratory will never see the sunset. But we have a choice. We are not powerless. We are not being held down by external forces beyond our control. We are doing this to ourselves. We are doing it freely and voluntarily. You need to stop this behavior. If you want to experience freedom and live life like true you and not some image of you constructed by someone else, like an automaton, you need to take control of your life. Only you can do it. Stop doing what you are told. Do what you want to do. What you actually want to do. Not what is expected of you. Stop caring if people get disappointed if you do not fit into their image of you. Stop caring if people get offended if you don't jump as they tell you. Stop concerning yourself with other people's emotions. You are not them. They blame you for their actions and their expectations and their feelings. You have nothing to do with that or with them. It is purely them, and you are taking the blame for their mind games. They lack the responsibility and accountability for their thoughts and actions, and they force you to take the blame and the pain they themselves are causing to themselves and to you. Stop it. Stop it right now. In this moment. You are an individual. You cannot control other people's feelings and emotions and thoughts. They are their own, not yours. So concentrate on yourself, your thoughts, your emotions, your actions, your wants and needs. Not others. Don't be their play toy. Be yourself. An autonomous organism that seeks what is best for it and no one else. I am not saying to become a dick. I am simply laying down the first step for you to take in order for you to be yourself. It is in the saying, after all, be yourself. It is not, be what someone else thinks you should be. You is the key word. The society has been hammering you with shame and anger, maybe even through peers, friends and parents, people you believed and trusted, that being selfish is something no one should be. That it is the worst trait a human being can have. That being selfish is being narcissistic or greedy. But this is all wrong. It is one big lie. A word play. Being selfish has nothing to do with the latter. Being selfish simply means that you always put yourself first. It does not mean that your ego is so big that you think you are the best thing that ever walked this earth. Of course not. You are just looking out for yourself. That's it. But the society will try to convince you that it is actually what being selfish means. With most people thinking in socialistic terms where we should all be kinda equal, and if there is a successful person, it should be just an exception to the rule, it is no surprise this is the narrative. If people cannot use you, they have no use for you and will discard you. But if they force you to be open to their demands, their expectations, their reality, then they can use one another, and it is a mutually benefiting relationship or a trait in the society. A game where I scratch your imaginary back, you scratch mine, even though none of it is real. If suddenly someone would stop playing this stupid and ridiculous game, it would mean they have been used and played, which their egos cannot handle, so they try to keep enforcing this behavior over and over again. If I am miserable, then everyone else must be as well. But being selfish is simply putting yourself first and foremost. There is nobody in the entire universe more important to you than yourself. You have to take care of yourself first, and only then you can start thinking about doing something for the others. But you have to come first. You have to learn to accept and love yourself. If you don't love yourself, you cannot expect someone else to do it for you. You cannot run around with an empty glass and ask other people to fill it for you. You have to do it yourself. Even in airplanes, when there is loss of pressure, the guidelines are to put the oxygen mask on yourself first, and only then you can try to help the other passengers. That's nature. That's reality. When you learn to be selfish and look out for yourself first, since nobody else will do it for you, only then you can proceed to further free yourself from the constraints that the society and you yourself put on you. When you learn to say no to people, when you become comfortable with saying no, and when you become okay with the reactions from people when you say no to them, only then you can proceed to the next step, which is treating people like they deserve. Respect is never given, it is always earned. Very few people understand this today, for the same reasons of social programming like the aforementioned social constructs. People these days walk with very entitled attitude. Mostly women, obviously, but people in general have their egos so inflated that they rather live in their miserable imaginary realities instead of the real world where nobody cares about them. Social networks, Instagram and alike are perfect proof of this imaginary, artificial and fake validation they are getting from the world that they perceive as real. But it is not. Again, mostly women suffer this delusion and men are paying the price. Yet again, topic for another video. My point is, due to the lack of real social interaction, truthfulness and accountability for one's actions, fake attention is being translated into false respect being given to people, where in truth it is all a false reality constructed by people themselves and fed by people between each other without actual emotion or truth. With big corporations profiting from these false realities and human tragedy the most. So when such a delusional person encounters you, once you have learned to be yourself, they will get upset, angry, and probably lash out other emotions as well. And you simply have to learn to be okay with that, because you have nothing to do with that. It is their own bubble that is beginning to break apart, and you just provided a mirror that shows an image they have never seen before. Learn to be strong, do not get swayed by these people. Never give respect freely. People must earn it individually. Only because your friend has respect for someone does not mean you should respect that person as well. No, that is not how that works. Respect means you're putting the other person on a pedestal. You are letting them know that you think of them as more than yourself. And there is nothing wrong with that. We should respect and celebrate great people for their actions, and it is perfectly fine to think of them more than ourselves because they did something we failed or could not do. Whatever the case is, respect is always earned. Always. No exceptions. I do not want to make this too long, so I will begin the conclusion for this topic. Do not blame yourself for what you were told and how you were raised. But don't avoid taking responsibility for yourself now. There is nothing standing in your way but you, yourself. When you take the path to become yourself, you will go through discomfort. And that is perfectly fine. It takes time to adjust your thinking. When you unplug from the matrix, your mind needs to adjust to the new reality. So don't rush yourself. Take it slowly, one step at a time. At the end is the freedom of your soul, and that is worth every sacrifice you must give, in my opinion. But I must warn you. People will not like you that much anymore. You will become abrasive, audacious, sassy, and a prick, by their definition. You will lose friends, maybe even family members. Your workplace might change its dynamics beyond recognition. You might even get fired. Anything can happen when you stop behaving like people expect of you. Sometimes they cannot fathom that reality. You must be prepared to face this reality. But it is better to live free of constraints and take a deep breath of truth every day than to live in a dream, enslaved to the society, to the machine. Godspeed, and I wish you the best in your life from now on, my friend. I am Spectre, and I bid you good day.